All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to design your guided design together. So I'm not going to tell you when to pause the video. That's up to you to make that decision. But you're going to be making the exact same room as I do. We're going to start by just making a living room to get more accustomed to the program, get a better feeling for it, and go a little bit further than we did in the other video. And then eventually we will get to designing an entire home. So what you're going to want to do is open up a new plan. This should be a fresh plan. And we're going to create a living room. So I'm going to use my straight interior wall because we're just going to assume the living room is all interior walls. And I'm going to click and drag. And I want this room to be about 14 foot by 12 foot. So I got close. I will show you how to edit it once we have our room put together. Okay, I'm gonna hit escape to clear my cursor of all tools. So I want this dimension to be exactly 14 foot. So I clicked on the wall and I clicked up the dimension that popped up. I'm gonna delete that 6 inches and click enter. Same thing, I'm gonna come over here, click that dimension, 12 foot, put my label on there and click enter. So now I have a room that is exactly 14 foot by 12 foot, which is totaling 168 square feet, which we will be diving into next into our learning is understanding what square feet means. All right, so the next step in this design is we're going to start bringing in some furniture items. So this is a living room. So I'm fine with leaving it labeled the living area. If we wanted to change it at all, we could right click, open object, and that pops up this window here. So we can go ahead and select living from there and select OK. So now it's specifically labeled the living area. Okay, I want you to recognize real quickly that the dimensions in the inside are different than the dimensions on the outside. Okay, think about that for a moment and why that might be. Okay, now I'm going to tell you. So the dimensions on the inside are because they're subtracting the wall thickness compared to the outside dimensions. So we're okay with that size still. That's still a reasonable size for a living room. So let's go ahead and bring in some furniture. All right, so over here on the right-hand side, you see that there's a Chief Architect Core Catalog. So if we go ahead and open that up, all these different files open up. I suggest at some point taking some time to find out what's in what file. We're going to go ahead and go to Interiors and Furniture. Okay, so this is a living room, so we need some seating. So it continues to open up, you guys, all of these categories. Just take your time in here. I'm going to go with a sofa. So when you click on something, it pops up down here. So if you don't know what something is, that's okay. You can look around for a little bit. I want to put my chaise there. And so see, it gives me the option to set down another one. I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard to get rid of that. I go back to my selecting mouse, click it. Okay, and then I want to bring in a sofa end to be part of my sofa. So it's going to be one full sofa. So notice my furniture setup isn't that great. So let's go ahead into the 3D view, perspective floor overview. Okay, and we need to turn this furniture around. So I need to select it. And now I'm going to rotate it. Okay, so first you start by selecting it. Then there's this little node that pops up off of the piece of furniture. When you hover your mouse over it, it gives you that curved arrow. If you click and drag, you are able to rotate your piece of furniture. So I'm going to rotate it, then select it, and select the middle node to move it around. Perfect. Now that is actually in good placement. Notice I continue to click over here to change what my cursor does. Once again, rotate this couch, grab the middle node, and move it over. Okay, see that red square on the corner of my couch? That's letting me know it's going to connect to the corner of the other couch, so it's in proper placement. Okay, so I have my couch where I want it. Now I'm going to rotate to this wall here because we're going to bring in a TV stand and a TV. So what I like to do is I like to close those files after I use them. Otherwise, it can get really long and full over here. So I'm going to go over to my storage, media cabinets. So a media cabinet is also another name for a TV stand. So I'm going to find one I like. I'm going to go with this one here. I'm going to select it and I'm going to place it. Okay, hit escape on my keyboard to get rid of my cursor. Next up, I'm going to need to find a TV. So if we open up electronics, home entertainment, televisions and monitors, I want a flat screen TV. Let's go with number 7. Select it and select it to place it. Okay, so I zoomed way in so I could see this nice and clearly. And now I am orbiting my screen. I'm going to go back to my cursor so I can select them. I think that looks a little small, so I want to make it a little bit bigger so I can actually extend it. Now, when I go to change the size of an object, this screen pops up. It's asking me if I want my media console to change sizes also in my 2D view. And the answer is yes. Okay, then I'm going to bring my TV. I'm going to find where it looks good. Now, recognized I changed my media console. Okay, notice something looks off. This drawer handle is way smaller than this drawer handle. So let's go ahead and move it back. And we can move both sides out a little bit to even that out. Okay, notice my TV doesn't look centered, and neither does my TV console now that I've backed out. So I'm going to select it, grab the middle node, bring it over. Okay, that looks a lot more centered. So grab my orbit camera, we have our couch in, we have our TV, our media console. I think the next thing we need is a rug. So we can come in here. Rugs, let's find rugs. So it may be under accessories, yes, rugs. And let's go ahead and grab a round rug. Okay, that looks really funny and small, so we definitely need to make that bigger, so we can simply make it bigger by grabbing the corner. Notice when I go to move it, it won't go under the couch. Okay, so what I can do is I can move the couch, I can move the chaise out for right now. Move the rug where I would like it. Let's orbit my camera so we can see what it looks like. That looks too big. Shrink it back down a little bit. Okay, now I'm making minor adjustments with the arrows on my keyboard. Now I'm going to bring the chaise back in. I need to get to a different view. Okay, let me move my camera. Selecting mouse and move it over. Okay, so now my couch is on top of my rug. Okay, so you should have the same thing I have. Okay, your home should look like my home. If it does not, please rewind the video and go back. If it does, great job. Let's keep going. So, I do not like the color of that rug. I don't think it helps the interior. So we're going to go to Open Object. And we're going to go over to Material. So I right-clicked on the object, went to Open Object, and now I'm in Materials. Okay. We notice that it says the edge is this twill navy and the main is this melon color. So if I click on the material and open this up and open up the material catalog, okay, a bunch of different catalogs start to open. So this is where you will find your flooring, your wall coloring, literally any type of covering or fabric. Okay, depending on what I wanted on my rug, I could go to textured, bumpy black, bumpy brown. And this is where, when we get into interior design, I will teach you more of how to make it flow. But at this point, if we spend too much time in that catalog, it can really eat away all of your time in the classroom. Okay, so right now I just went for the middle. I did bumpy terracotta under texture. And let's just go back to fabric and wall coverings, textured, and I'm going to go back to the bumpy terracotta, just so I can get my rug to be all one color. Okay. Now in our living room, we need to bring in some doors. We need to bring in some windows. So let's go back to our working plane view. And we can shut this category over here by clicking the arrow on the files. And let's go ahead and go to doors. So in our living room, we're going to pretend that we have a room attached to it. So we're going to bring in a doorway. Okay. So I've placed the doorway here. And now to extend the doorway, I can simply select it and click and drag to extend that doorway. You guys, a doorway, if you look in my classroom under the basketball hoop, that is a doorway. So it's a walkthrough without a door. Okay, if we go into our 3D view, we can now see that we have a doorway. So we can walk through it, but there is no door there. Okay, that's exactly what we want. However, I don't like the placement of it. I'm going to go back into my 2D view, select it, and I can use my arrow keys to move it down the wall. Back into my 3D view, and there we have it. I like the placement of that a lot better. Now we need to bring in some windows. So let's go ahead and select our window up here. Okay, we just want to bring in our regular window. So we can put a couple over here, and we can put a couple behind the couch. Let's go into our 3D view, see what it looks like. Okay, those actually look decently well. They're above the couch, which is what I wanted. If we did need to adjust the height of them, we could select the window select the window, and take the middle node and drag the window up. However, now that looks too tall, so we're going to do Control Z to bring it back to where I wanted it. These windows, however, I'm not really liking the look of them. We can mess around with them a little bit. So if I right click on a window and go to Open Object, I could mess around. So instead of dragging the nodes and changing the size in the 3D view, I could change these dimensions, the width, the height, etc., and see what it looks like. So maybe I just want one wider window in this part of the living room. Okay. So I just went back to my 2D view, and so now I want to explain some things in 2D. Because as we add to our design and we have full houses, it can start to look a bit confusing. So these items here are windows. This is our wall opening, our couch, our rug, TV stand, and TV. Okay? Notice how this has the full wall dimension, and then it has dimensions broken within. So you guys, this software is actually used for, actually designing houses. This is a software that's used in real life. So this is specifically telling the builders how far in they need to frame, so that way that window can go there. Okay? Okay, I also just recognized another thing. So when we built this room, we built it so we had all interior walls. Now that we put windows in, you would not have windows in an interior wall, so we need to make those exterior walls. So if we right click or select that wall with a window, right click and go to Open Object, we can actually change the wall type. So if we go down, Siding 6 shows you it has an exterior wall. So we're going to select that because we want that side to be exterior. Open Object, Wall Type, Siding 6, boom, done. So now if we go into our 3D view, okay, we see that we have 2 exterior walls and 2 interior walls. So if we were to continue adding on to this home, we could add on to this wall, and those 2 walls would stay the same because they are an exterior wall. The last thing I want to do with you guys is I want to change the color of our interior walls. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our core catalog. We're going to go to Materials, Colors. Let's go to Generic Colors. And I want to bring in a gray. So I can start clicking through them. So I selected the first one, and now I'm going through with my arrow keys on my keyboard. And I'm going to find one I like. So color medium, select it. And I'm just going to click on the walls, interior walls, to paint the walls. Okay, color medium. Perfect. So now I have my living room painted. Whoops, forgot a wall. And so some of the walls will look a little bit different sometimes, depending, because it acts like it's bringing light into the room. But if you notice, all of my walls are painted the same color. So at this point, we need to go ahead and save our design. So I'm going to go up here. You can either click the Save button, or you can go File, Save. Okay, we want to make sure we go to our desktop, select our folder, and we're going to name this our guided design dash your initials. Alrighty, so at this point you should have exactly what I have in the 3D and 2D mode, or something pretty close. If you did select a different TV stand, TV, you didn't select the exact same one, that's okay. What I am looking for is that your room is the same size and you have the same items in it. Go ahead and head back to your assignment in Google Classroom and complete what is necessary.